This week's advance report covers epic fury potential outcomes and trouble ahead that nobody's thought about. What happens on April 22nd? That's the end of the ceasefire, supposedly. Well, we're going to cover that for you in this week's video, along with oil, equity, and the other parts of the market. Stay tuned for your fast-paced tour of the global financial markets. Welcome to the April 13th, 2026 advance report from McGowanGroup Wealth Management clients. You get to see what's happening inside the fiduciarily managed portfolios of McGowanGroup Wealth Management, what we're doing and why. Today's report, I haven't heard anywhere else because we're in a 2-week ceasefire. Alex Tolene, Radiating Excellence and Brilliance, will cover market impacts from the ceasefire, and we're also going to cover what happens after the 2-week period. Nobody's thought about it. And what about the Strait of Hormuz? That's the big problem for the global economy.
I think a lot of people just want to run around in circles and scream and shout, right? So the initial impact was an immediate drop in crude oil from about 117 to the mid-90s. At the same time, you had the Dow Jones jump 1,200 points, an immediate big move, kind of celebrating, hey, maybe this thing is actually over. In the meantime, we have extortion on the high seas.
Okay.
That's right.
Now, you go ahead and cover what Iran is doing, and then I'm going to cover what the likely outcomes are geographically.
So what they want to do is they want to charge between $1 million and $2 million per passage.
Per passage.
So I guess, is that $4 million, one or two going that way?
If you got to get your yacht through there, your yacht, that's expensive.
Yeah, and
$1 million every time you go.
They want to get paid in cryptocurrency. Also, they're structuring a $1 per barrel toll on top of that. That's a lot of money. They're talking maybe generating between $70 billion and $100 billion annually.
Wow.
I guess that would fund a lot of boats.
How many boats are going to get to go through? Because it was 130 a day. And Iran's going to limit that to 15 vessels.
15 vessels.
Oh, well, that's not really what the agreement was.
Nope. I think you have more epic fury to come, potentially.
So let's cover that.
Yeah, because I think there's a best case and a worst case.
Is everybody shocked? I'm shocked, Cotton.
Shocked.
That Iran reneged upon their ceasefire.
Yeah.
Like days, they published a whole thing. Here's how we're only going to let 15 boats out of 130, and we're going to have a surcharge, and we're going to control the Strait of Hormuz. How do they do that? I thought they'd been decimated in epic fury.
Not quite.
I went, as you would expect, I did some research. All right, Iran controls islands that act as unsinkable aircraft carriers, forward operating bases for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Navy, right?
Yeah.
What's left of the Navy. Well, I thought they were wiped out. No, but this is important for April 22nd, all right?
There's 5 islands, right?
Well, there's Abu Mesa, Greater Toom, Lesser Toom. These 3 islands are the most strategic. And the UAE disputes their claim. UAE says they're ours. Well, they've been firing missiles at UAE.
Yep.
Well, maybe the UAE ought to have them back. Anyway, they've maintained a military presence there since 1971. Missile batteries, radars, fast attack craft. Larak Island, mouth of the strait, major hub for coastal defense missiles and a strategic point for incoming vessels. Kasham Island, largest island in the Persian Gulf, massive logistic and military base, features underground missile cities and tunnels that can launch anti-ship missiles. Wow. Siri Island, right? Oil and naval terminal used to monitor traffic. Hormuz, right? Hormuz Island. This is proximity to the Iranian mainland, critical point for controlling the strait. And of course, you have Karg Island,
Yep.
which they already hit. Wow. So if you want to reopen the strait,
A lot of work to do.
let's look at the possible outcomes. Strait closed, oil maybe 130, 140 once you build in the fact that only 15 boats get through, and oil in the 70s if the strait is reopened. Now, Trump has tweeted that there's going to be trouble ahead if they don't comply, and they better not charge tolls, but it's right there.
Yep.
Those are the tolls. They already said it, right?
I think that's going to be pretty easy to track. I think something that's missing from this whole calculus is, oil flows always find a way to flow, right? So if you bottleneck Carg Island or the Strait of Hormuz, what happens to offshore? What happens to the drilling that goes on in the United States? What happens to Venezuela? What are the opportunities outside of just the Middle East?
Well, and they're pumping. This was one of the big stories this week. So the U.S. had a lot of storage because we were drill, baby, drill, awash in oil,
Yeah.
$55. And now the U.S. oil that can find a ship to get on, if it gets over to Europe, it's getting a $20 premium over Brent crude.
Yeah, that's
And
just
so if you got oil on a boat, then you're getting a huge premium right now.
and that's just supply demand. That's not a toll.
Now-
I think that's the difference.
Look at this trend. Dow down, right? We went from 50,000 to 45,000, right? And we got two guys, Yardeni and Mike Wilson, that called bottom. They're strategists.
Yep.
So they get a Sir John Templeton Award for their prescience. Then you have the ceasefire. Boom. Dow spiking 1,200 points. All good. And the Dow's back to positive territory for the year.
That's nice.
NASDAQ still lags behind. All right. Oil up, Dow down. Right? Oil down, Dow up. That's been the trend. There was one day this week that oil went up a little and the Dow still went up.
Yeah.
But that's a basic trend. Well, I think there's trouble ahead because, first off, the markets don't appear to be realizing that the Iranians already reneged, right?
Yep.
And there's your gasoline. That's up 78%. Wow, what was inflation for March?
3.2 if you include food and energy. If you strip out food and energy, it was 0.2.
It was 0.9% though for the month.
Yeah.
The month of March. That would annualize at 11%. That means Trump is outdoing Biden on inflation. At least
He's winning
temporarily.
again.
Just a
Winning
joke.
again.
Just a joke. But you bring that back down, whoa, you're going to get some good inflation numbers. But in the meantime, you could still see 120, 140. Iran says you'll see 200.
That's the worst case scenario.
So on April 22nd, here's a potential outcome, right? Now, let's look at this. By the way, oil and gas is king right now. 29% versus flat for the year,
Yep.
right? So that's the oil and gas index for the S&P 500. Thank God we have the energy infrastructure because we're having a pretty good year. And, there was correction in the first quarter. And now what we're seeing, if we look at what's ahead, this is obvious, all right? What happens April 22nd? Trump's already said, we're reloading. We're getting ready. I heard there were Marines there. What about these islands? Why don't you take this island, these three, give them back to the UAE? Because they said they're theirs anyway,
Yeah.
right? Then you take Kasham, Siri, Hormuz, and Karg Island.
There you go.
And you
Simple
say,
as
okay, we've reopened the Strait of Hormuz, and maybe you have a little patrol off the mainland. That's what you're going to have to do to reopen it, because the troll, Iran, has spoken that you have to pay a toll to the troll, and they're going to throttle traffic to gain power, because they don't have much left.
And they're going to do it in crypto.
They're going to do it in crypto.
I do want to bring something to the potential happy side of things.
Do tell.
All right. So in this correction or consolidation in stock prices, PEs have compressed about 18%.
Price to earnings ratios, companies are cheaper.
Yep, they're cheaper on balance. That usually PEs don't come down that fast, that hard, unless there's a recession. We're not in a recession. Forward S&P 500 earnings estimates are a plus 16 in the forward year.
That's Mike Wilson at Morgan Stanley.
That's Mike Wilson. Yardeni points out that, hey, look, if you look at the last 4 major military engagements that the U.S. has been involved in, going back, even way back, 2 years forward, the S&P 500 is up between 31 and 44%.
Okay,
There's some good history behind there.
We got slowing economic growth, right?
Yeah.
But there's still, even the adjusted earnings forward, according to Morgan Stanley, would be 16%.
That's right.
And he knew that oil went up. He knew gasoline went up.
Yeah.
I think he saw that.
Yeah.
All right.
So
GDP growth estimate, it was 3%. Now it's 1.3.
Yeah.
And they revised the fourth quarter down to 0.4 with the shutdown. So that's anemic.
It's small.
So you may see one negative quarter before this is over.
You could.
That's why I said trouble ahead.
You could.
That's what titled the show.
Yeah.
Epic Fury.
Oh, is that why?
Epic Fury
All right.
Impact. Tell us about, energy infrastructure is part of a broader category called deep value. You could say cheap stuff. But go ahead.
Yeah.
What's cheap?
On the international side, so when we start looking at potential allocations, we want great companies, great cash flows inside those companies. We like to have a dividend yield on top of that, and we want a value proposition, right? So this is Victory Shares International Free Cash Flow ETF. That's up 13.32%. Yes, it does have a decent allocation to energy, but that just underscores why you want to take a look at deep value, particularly in this environment.
That deep value.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had some good candidates in that category because everybody was chasing overpriced tech. So one of the stories that's happening in the money flows this year, here's all the big fancy institutions and all the money went into, 30% of the S&P is all tech.
Right.
Right? It was close to half at one point. And that was the only thing everybody was worried about is NVIDIA, right?
Yeah.
Right? And Palantir. Well, Palantir's down this year, and you've seen a big shift to other categories.
That's right.
Which, it's interesting because if you said dividend companies at a low multiple, that's what the portfolio looks like, except for the bond strategies, which also give us tactical safety to buy the dip. In other words, we're not all invested all the time. You can go to networthradio.com, contact us there, and we'll be happy to upgrade your plan for 2026. There's the 29% from the spider. There's the GDP going down. What is this, Alex? This is a rather sad story.
Yeah, this is a company called Strategy Inc., MicroStrategy. They are officially a Bitcoin treasury company. Now, I don't know what happened.
They took a $13 billion loss last quarter.
Yep, it's a mark against their position because that's what they do.
All they do is borrow money.
They borrow money and buy Bitcoin.
What could go wrong?
They did have a good commercial come out, though, recently. It's pretty funny.
But 543 to 128. Everybody knew it was a great thing at 543.
Yep. This will trade at a premium or discount to net asset value of their Bitcoin holdings. At one point, it was double.
But they got interest on the debt, and they have debt. So it should be a discount.
Yeah, they're issuing more as we speak, by the way.
Okay. All right.
That's a to not to.
There's the pipelines. They'll pay you every day because oil and gas flows through there. Had one other thing about the pipelines.
Okay.
And this is important on a potential outcome. Did you notice we had an ice storm and it was really cold?
Yeah.
And for people in Minnesota, it was cold a long time. And in New York, a long time.
That's right.
Well, that natural gas, where does it flow? Through the pipelines. So they're going to have a great quarter. That comes out last week in April, early May. In addition, you have a permanently higher value from liquid natural gas data centers, all that gas that's flowing. That says you've really repriced energy infrastructure, and I don't think that's over.
I have a prediction.
Oh,
West Texas will become the AI data center capital of the world because of this right here.
There you go.
There you go.
Hey, thank you for tuning in. McGowanGroup Wealth Management. We are grateful for our clients, and we're the team you want on your side, and that starts at networthradio.com. You can contact us there. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more intelligence. Thank you for tuning in today to Net Worth Media. We also have Apple Podcast. Simply type in Net Worth Radio and boom, it'll hit your phone right then. If you also go to networthradio.com on a browser, you're going to be able to meet the team. You can see our performance track record, the model portfolios that go with today's broadcast. Also at networthradio.com, the Longer Play podcast is available there as well. We're grateful that you've tuned in. Remember, when we talk about a security, it doesn't make it a recommendation for your portfolio until we actually complete a written plan for you by Zoom or in office or simply a conference call. So you reach us at networthradio.com if you want to get that arranged. Market fluctuations and how to handle them. We build high cash flow portfolios, and past performance doesn't guarantee future results, so you do have to be ready for challenging markets. We can build more cash flow during challenging markets than we can when everybody's happy and everything's up, which is when we tend to raise tactical safety. Those allocation strategies are here at networthradio.com. Thank you for tuning in.